What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well, enjoying your week so far. Look, the NFL has been all over the place this year, and this past week was no different. Now, we had a couple pretty serious injuries that happened this past week, and I'm going to talk about three guys whose season is now over, and we're just going to discuss what happened with those three guys, because one of them was absolutely ridiculous that probably shouldn't have happened, but I will get y'all thoughts and opinion on that. So, starting off with the first guy, we have Brandon Aiyuk from the San Francisco 49ers. He suffered a torn ACL when he got tackled after a pass that he caught. Now, this one was actually very interesting because Brandon Aiyuk held out in the offseason for a new contract, which in hindsight now worked out perfectly for him because, like I said, he is done for the season. Now, he did end up signing a 4-year, $120 million contract this offseason to end his holdout before he came back. Of course, he did come back a little rusty, but he has been getting up to speed with everything, but unfortunately now he's out for the season. Now, the 49ers have an interesting thing going on with their wide receiver core. Jauan Jennings was hurt this past weekend, so he didn't play. He's supposed to be back this week, but they have other wide receiver injuries as well. Deebo Samuel was actually in the hospital with pneumonia, so hopefully he can get back right. And then also they got back Ricky Pearsall, who was shot early, like a couple months ago, out in California, I believe it was, but he came back this week. So they have a lot of shuffling to do at their wide receiver core. It's going to be interesting to see how things shift out now with Brandon Aiyuk out for the season. Of course, y'all know Deebo is a great player, just a really good gadget player. It's going to be interesting to see if Ricky Pearsall can come along and step into that Brandon Aiyuk role. And then, of course, Jauan Jennings is an older vet, but, of course, he's consistent when he's playing well. We've seen them put up some good numbers this year so far. So with the 49ers, I think they'll be fine, but it'll just be interesting to see how that shifts out for everything and where that ends up going with just the whole injury situation with Brandon Aiyuk. Now, moving on to the next guy, we have Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson suffered a ruptured Achilles or torn Achilles this past Sunday. Now, what happened? Basically, he was trying to scramble and just put his foot back into the ground, and his calf, you could see it pop, or see his Achilles pop on his calf. And of course, season-ending injury. Now, there's been some talk of him potentially getting a speed bridge and doing the same procedure that Aaron Rodgers did, I believe it was last year, to try and come back for the playoffs. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But there's been some talks of Deshaun Watson potentially doing that and trying to come back early this year. We'll have to wait and see on that. Cleveland this year has just been an absolute train wreck. They just have not been good. They have not lived up to what they're supposed to be, I feel like. They traded away Amari Cooper already, who's now on the Buffalo Bills, and he did catch a touchdown pass this weekend. But just the Browns are just all over the place. Coaching-wise, it's not that good. Quarterback play hadn't been good, and just so forth and so on. Now, I will say one saving grace, they did get Nick Chubb back this weekend, who we've been waiting on to get back. Of course, he had a terrible injury last time we saw him, but it was nice to see him get back this week. He did score a touchdown. So hopefully maybe Nick Chubb can get things going for them. I'm not really sure. Just like I mentioned, the Browns just have a lot of issues that they need to work through. Will they be able to work through it this year? I'm really not sure. I feel like this could be too little too late right now for them, and they may just need to move on to next year. But I believe Jameis Winston, I want to say, is going to be the quarterback. Dorian Thompson-Robinson did sustain an injury as well. So I believe Jameis Winston is going to be stepping up now to be playing quarterback for the Browns. But like I said, I'm just not too confident in the Browns being able to really do anything at this point. I think with the trade of Amari Cooper, you're really just kind of like making it that much harder to actually do something this year. So it'll be interesting to see with the Browns how things play out, but I have no hope in the Browns. Now, the last injury that I'm going to talk about happened on Monday Night Football, and this one was the one that just made absolutely no sense. Now, of course, there were two games on Monday Night Football, but the game I'm referring to is the Buccaneers versus the Ravens. Now, Chris Godwin ended up suffering a dislocated ankle, which more than likely will put him out for the season. Now, I say this one made no sense because the Bucs were down, I believe it was 10 points at this point in the fourth quarter. There was like a minute and a half left or something like that, and they were still trying to go score points, which, I mean, you're down 10 points. There's a possibility, but more than likely with no timeouts, you're not going to be able to do anything. But Baker threw a pass to Chris Godwin, and as he got tackled, his ankle just got bent the wrong way and ended up dislocating. He had to be carted off the field. But this happened with 43 seconds left in the game, and like I mentioned, you're down 10 points. Like, you're more than likely not coming back. And it was crazy because literally the play before, the announcers talked about how the Bucks should probably give it up and get their players off the field so nobody sustains an injury. And then literally the next play, an injury happened that is going to be tough for the Bucks to recover from. I know the announcers jinx and everything, but it was just absolutely crazy just to see that play out in real time. Now, in addition to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans also did get injured. He sustained a hamstring injury, and he's supposed to be out. I believe I saw today past their Bucks bye week, which I believe is week 11 or week 12, that he will be returning. So now you're down two of your star wide receivers. It's going to be tough for the Bucks right now. They've been doing pretty decent in my opinion. The Mike Evans injury kind of derailed them during yesterday's game, but they've been rolling on offense. They whooped up on the Saints a couple weeks ago. So how the Bucks move on from this, it'll be interesting. They do have some guys that will have the opportunity to step up in roles and just be able to produce. Will it happen? I don't know. That one's going to be a tough one in my opinion, but we'll see how that one plays out. But let me know your thoughts on these three season-ending injuries. It sucks for these teams. It's going to make things a lot more difficult, but I'm curious to see y'all thoughts and opinion, especially Deshaun Watson, because just that whole train wreck with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland and they paid him all that money. It's been crazy, but I'm curious just to see what y'all's thoughts and opinions are. But as always, I do appreciate y'all for stopping in. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.